Hi there. This video is going to be about the design of classes in WoW, comparing how Blizzard used to do it compared with how they do it in the modern expansions. The reason I was prompted to make this video, the reason why I thought of making this video is the Nostalgia server, the vanilla private server, got shut down last week, and so I switched to a Burning Crusade server. There's actually another Burning Crusade server launching, I think, tomorrow. So this is sort of like a dress rehearsal for the big launch. Or if the new server sucks, then I'll just play here. This is the Vengeance server, or the server is actually called Wildhammer, but the website is called Vengeance, and the new one that will be coming out, I think, tomorrow is called Play TBC. But anyway, so by going from vanilla to the Burning Crusade, I have gotten to experience what everybody experienced 10 years ago, which is seeing exactly how the Burning Crusade expanded upon the original game. And it's just so good. I mean, I'm not just talking about the rating and the fact that Arena was added and all the content, even daily quests in the Burning Crusade were pretty fun. Those things were all really great, but in particular, I noticed the class design. Vanilla was notoriously imbalanced. There was a lot of broken specs, and a lot of classes were really pigeonholed into doing one particular thing. Some classes, specifically the DPS versions of the healers, were pretty well unplayable, at least in rating. You know, the infamous Umkin, the balanced druid that was always out of mana. You know, the Ret Paladin, which was absolutely garbage, didn't even have an attack. In the Burning Crusade, what they did, which is just so good, is they fixed the problems in vanilla without disrespecting the original design of the class. I'm not too familiar with the newer versions of WoW, but what I remember from them is they basically turned every class into a rogue. You have abilities that generate a resource, like combo points, and then you spend the combo points on your big money shot skills. So, to be fair, that allows for a true rotation when you're just pure DPSing. But in your sort of day-to-day outdoor, leveling, grinding, and certainly PvPing, it makes it incredibly boring. And every class is basically the same. I mean, specifically, I can remember Paladins have holy combo points. I believe exactly 3. And you build them up and then you spend them. And I think Warlocks have soul shards, which they like float above your character like your Kel'Thas Sunstrider in a little arc over you, and they unlock like cool stuff like Chaos Bolt and I don't know, other stuff. And I think a lot of the DPS classes had mana removed. Like I think I heard in the Legion expansion that elemental shamans won't have mana and priests won't have mana. It's all kind of fucked up. But anyway, the Burning Crusade is so good. So what they did for every class is they added an extra row or an extra 2 tiers to the talents, and they added a bunch of new talents in sort of the bottom chunk. These ones: Nether Protection, Backlash, Soul Leech, Shadow and Flame, and Shadow Fury. And they made some like modest changes to to the rest of the tree, sort of a little bit of talent pruning, I guess you could say. Like, I believe Improved Searing Pain in vanilla was 5 talent points to get the effect. It only takes 3 in the Burning Crusade, that kind of stuff. Just really, really modest, gentle changes. And then what they also did was that every 2 levels while you're in Outland, so level 62, 64, etc., 5 in total, you get brand new skills. Completely standalone skills. And none of your old skills were removed. Some of them became kind of obsolete, but they're still usable, and I think virtually all of them had some niche in which you might find an excuse to use them. So the Warlock, so the Destruction Warlock in vanilla was a bit of an odd duck. The Warlock, of course, was defined by pets and fears and Death Coil, which is a horror, but basically another fear. And dots, of course. And so Affliction was the dots, and Demonology was the pet, and Destruction was supposed to be the direct damage. And there was also hints of sort of things that no other Warlock could do. Aftermath, Dazes stuff, and Pyroclasm gives a chance at stuns. So that's pretty cool. I mean, the thought of a Warlock who's all spooky, he can actually stun you. That's metal. That's hardcore. But it was all RNG, and it was really, really tough. And you know, if a melee got all on top of a full Destruction Warlock in vanilla, it was kind of a massacre. Like, really hard to cast, and you got long cast times. You gotta try and get Shadow Bolts. I mean, the only way it really worked was abusing the Succubus for Seduce, so you could just light stuff up. But so what they did, excuse me. So what they did was, here are the talents they added. Nether Protection makes you straight up immune to shadow and fire magic. Sometimes when you get hit with shadow and fire magic. So that's crazy. Like, a Destruction Warlock almost can't die to another Warlock. Backlash, well, it increases crit also. That's nice. When you get hit, you get an instant cast spell. So if some melee is just all up in your face, kicking your ass, and you can't cast, well, now your casts are instant. So that's great. That's awesome. Then we got Soul Leech, gives some healing, which is good. Can't go wrong with healing because, although I'm draining life right now, if you're Destruction, you don't really drain life that much compared to Affliction. Shadow and Flame is just some extra damage, and then Shadow Fury is a guaranteed stun, and you can put it wherever you want, and Illidan just shows up and just poops shadow all over the place. I'll pretend I'm PvPing against this Sporbat. Just imagine some, like, Linkin Park in the background. That's still recharging. Boom! Illidan shows up. So Shadow Fury is just, it takes the, in vanilla there was the hint of stuns, and then it just puts it full on. Now you got a stun. And it's kind of, it's a spec defining skill. In PvP, it makes the Destruction Warlock unique, but it didn't just come out of thin air. The hints of it were already in the game with Pyroclasm. And then the standalone spells, I'm only level 62, so I've only gotten one so far. And it's pretty sick. Fell Armor increases the healing on you by 20% and increases your spell damage by 50. So that's awesome. I mean, you get some extra spell damage, and increasing healing on yourself is great because you do a lot of self-healing. And in the case of if you have the talent Demonic Embrace for extra stamina, and you have Fell Armor on, if you have a bigger health pool, but when you get healed for more, it basically simulates just having damage mitigation, because, you know, someone takes off half your health, then it all gets filled up. You know, they don't know if you went from 10k health to 5k or 8k to 4k and then filled back up. It's irrelevant. It's like, it gives you mitigation without actually just being like, the Warlock now takes 20% less damage from all sources, because that's fucking boring as hell. Although I have to admit, Soul Link basically does that. So, and then the next skill is level 64 Warlocks get Incinerate, and what Incinerate does is it makes full destruction pure fire. You don't have to use Shadow Bolt anymore. So it allows. I know a lot of Warlocks in the Burning Crusade actually still use Shadow Bolt, even if they're destruction, but it gives you the choice. I think Fire Warlocks were perfectly okay in PvE in the Burning Crusade, and in PvP it's awesome because Shadow Bolt has a long cast time, and it has a bunch of synergy that you don't really get if you're full destruction. So you don't have to use it anymore. You can just incinerate. Or if you want to, if you get a backlash, proc, you can use Shadow Bolt anyway, because it's instant. And why not? In vanilla, if you want to be pure fire, you have to use Searing Pain, which creates a high amount of threat, and it kind of sucks. It's not bad to just finish stuff off. But, you know, fleshing out the Fire Warlock and giving it Incinerate's pretty sweet. And then I think the rest of the standalone Warlock spells were a way to drop threat. That's nice, because threat sucks. And it isn't, you know, it isn't just, oh, here's backlash. So it isn't just passive. You make less threat. It's another button you can use. You can choose when to use it. I mean, my bars are pretty damn full already. I can only imagine what it'll be like at level 70. And then I think the other Warlocks also got, like, you could give everybody Healthstones. It was like a little well of Healthstones. And, I don't know what. Oh, and, what is it? Seed of Corruption, which is AoE. So that's what they did to Warlocks. And if you ask me, that's really amazing. Of course, Demonology got a new pet, the Felguard, which is like a pet that actually deals some real damage. It's like the warrior pet. It has intercept, just like a warrior, and cleave, and it just kind of kicks ass. And affliction also. So the trouble with Demonology was, yeah, you got your pet and you're taking way less damage, but your pet is kind of fucking useless. I mean, the Voidwalker doesn't hit very hard, the Imp runs out of mana, and the Succubus and Fellhunter are kind of, they they have some powerful abilities, Seduce and Spell Lock and Devour Magic and everything, but they don't really lay the hurt. So the expansion in the Burning Crusade, which is actually expands upon the classes, gives them a new pet which does serious damage. So you're protected with Soul Link and all your other demonology stuff, and also having the pet out makes you kick ass. So then there's Affliction, and Affliction is they get Unstable Affliction, which punishes healers for dispelling their dots, which is obviously a good design, because Affliction was all about dots, and if priests and paladins are just taking them off all the time, it's no good. So yeah, that's the that's the Warlock. So now, what were some other changes they made to other classes? Well, now I'm just gonna pull up something over here. So alright, druids, or the hybrid classes were always running out of mana. The spellcaster hybrid classes. So somewhere in here, Dream State regenerates mana equal to 4% of your intellect every 5 seconds, even while casting. So balanced druids now regenerate mana without having to like waste some of their gear slots with, you know, MP5 gear and spirit gear and stuff like that. Intellect, they'll get intellect from, I mean, anything that has spell damage on it will probably have intellect on it. So that's great. While we're looking at druids, I've never played a feral druid, but I understand Mangle is something pretty important, and that was added in the Burning Crusade. Now you got shamans. They were running out of mana too. Somewhere in here. Unrelenting Storm. Regenerate 2% of your intellect every 5 seconds, even while casting. So now the Elemental Shaman doesn't run out of mana. And while we're here, Totem of Wrath. That's kind of cool. A buff totem. I guess it's sort of it sort of complements the Boomkin aura. If you have both of those in your group, all your spellcasters are going to be going ham. That enhancement got dual wield and Shamanistic Rage, which regenerates mana equal to 50% of your attack power. That sounds pretty nice. That basically fixed the vanilla shaman without ruining everything for everybody. I mean, the overwhelming majority of these talents are basically the same. And then even Restoration, Earth Shield. That's a pretty awesome, iconic ability. I mean, Lightning Shield is pretty useless on a Resto Shaman, or being used by a Resto Shaman, because you just want to heal the world. So that's what Earth Shield does. Then you got Priest. What did the Shadow Priest get to solve mana problems? Oh look, Vampiric Touch. Not only does it give the priest some mana, it actually makes the priest into a mana battery, and that role defined the Shadow Priest for all of Burning Crusade and PvE. People would be moving their Shadow Priests around like at all times, just like raid leaders would practically be watching everybody's mana and moving the Shadow Priest around accordingly. The rest of the priest talents, discipline was really cool in the Burning Crusade, but it was kind of a weird utility spec. It gets pain suppression, which is badass. But yeah, discipline was sort of strictly PvP. Let's see, what other classes were designed beautifully. Oh, of course, Paladin. What was the problem with the Ret Paladin? It had no attacks. None. The final skill, Crusader Strike. It's an attack, and it also, if you have a bunch of holy paladins, it helps them so that they don't have to keep judging a target. They can judge once, and then the one ret in the raid can keep their judgments on. And well, everybody knows the Burning Crusade created the Prot Paladin. I'm not really sure exactly. Oh yeah, this was a passive skill that completely reinvented the Prot Paladin, which was they got some mana every time they were healed. So say a warrior gets hit, he gets some rage from getting hit. The paladin gets hit, he doesn't get rage from getting hit, but then he gets his blue rage from getting healed up after he gets hit. So the ultimate effect is the same, because giving tanks a resource to use their skills is kind of necessary for tanking to work. But the way that it is achieved was different in a way that was unique. So that's sort of the thing. I'm gonna kill this guy, or maybe not. Oh man, player versus pillar. Man, this is cheesing me right off. Oh, I missed. Oh, that's brutal. Well, that more than anything else just defined Burning Crusade PvP. Player versus pillar. Oh man. What was I gonna say? Well, I lost my train of thought, but the point is, all those changes were, they addressed real problems, and they offered. Oh shit! Is this guy mad? Oh man, that pillar was a problem. I lost way too much health against that hunter. The point is, all these things, they addressed real problems with real solutions, but they didn't completely undermine the original design. Like, paladins in the Burning Crusade continue to have all their same seals and their judgments, and that's awesome. Whereas, of course, many people remember in Wrath of the Lich King, paladins were Ret paladins were completely overhauled, and they at that point just became warriors with blue rage. They had all these instant attacks, Divine Storm, maybe it was just they now had Crusader Strike and Divine Storm, which was a little much, and they had a lot of just passive buffs to damage, and they would just kill you in one stun. It was pretty ridiculous. And I think maybe their judgments were now independent of their seals, and it was just a clusterfuck. It completely disrespected the original design of the class. And then, of course, like I was saying, now every time Blizzard overhauls a class, they basically turn it into a rogue. You use some of your skills, create a resource, and then some of your skills use that resource. And it's basically the same for every single class. it doesn't make any sense. I mean, mana was an interesting part of the game, and it's an iconic part of it's an iconic aspect to like the RPG genre. To be honest, I'm not really sure where it came from. You know, what was the first thing in the fantasy genre that used the word mana? Maybe it was magic cards? I don't know. But, you know, running out of mana is a big deal. It should be a big deal. If you just function infinitely with no downside, it's just stupid. I mean, sure, warlocks have always been able to life tap, but you run out of life. I mean, I'm a little low on life. I'm gonna drain the shit out of this thing. I have the tools to not run out of health and mana. Oh wow, drain life is bugged. There we go. This server is I'm having fun on this server, but it's no Nostalrius, that's for sure. So I guess that's about it. Thanks for watching. If I didn't say this already and anyone's curious, this is Vengeance WoW. And I believe this is sort of a dress rehearsal for Play TBC, which comes out tomorrow. And the other TBC server people talk about is Excalibur, which I believe has a pretty high population, but it is not particularly Blizz-like, which to me, being Blizz-like is kind of the most important part. Like, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think on Excalibur, Horde and Alliance can group up together and stuff, which is kind of weird. So, alright, thanks for watching.